Hello, bronies. It's me, Clayton, and I just got back from seeing the latest My Little Pony episode, A Health of Information. Now, when it comes to Fluttershy episodes, most of them actually tend to be some of the best that the show has to offer. From Philly Vanilli to Hurricane Fluttershy, a lot of them tend to really underscore what a great character Fluttershy is and how much she's developed over the course of the seasons. This isn't one of the best Fluttershy episodes of the bunch, but it's still a great one with a strong message and a good appearance from Zecora. Yeah, that's 2 Zecora episodes in a row. I have no idea why that's the case. Let's get to the story, shall we? While gathering supplies, Zecora ends up getting infected with a disease called swamp fever, which will cause her to eventually apparently turn into a tree. Isn't that a weird disease? So, since she feels guilty about getting her in that situation, Fluttershy decides that she needs to find the cure for swamp fever as soon as possible, even when she gets infected herself. So, and the message of this episode is actually pretty interesting because you need to take care of yourself before you take care of others. I think that actually is a pretty interesting message since it's not one that I've seen used that much before. And I think that it is true, because if you yourself happen to be sick or injured, you should, as much as self-sacrifice is important, you should make sure that you're able to even make that self-sacrifice yourself by making sure you're healthy enough. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to be able to effectively take care of others? It's a message that I think was handled well, and Fluttershy seems like the right character to be the one to facilitate that message. On top of that, I definitely did like the fact that that the callback to a previous episode actually didn't work, because at one point in the episode, in order to get the honey from these flash bees, Fluttershy tries to use her stare technique. You know, the technique where she does an intimidating stare at a bunch of animals, and they usually just go along. They usually listen to her when she does that. Well, this one actually doesn't work at all, and she has to come up with something entirely different in order for the ultimate victory to be had. I like it when shows introduce an ability that a character has that doesn't always work. Like, that isn't the fail-safe way that you can complete an episode. Sometimes you've got to keep varying things around and coming up with new angles in order to solve your problems. On top of that, even though Zecora didn't get a lot of screen time, Brenda Critchlow did a good job voicing her, and it is interesting to see her in need of help from the ponies this time, since she's usually the one assisting them. So another thing that this episode does pretty well is the fact that we got to see a lot of this episode done in the Everfree Forest. And the Everfree Forest is always one of my favorite locations in the My Little Pony universe, simply because of the different creatures included and the fact that a lot of the forest is shrouded in mystery, especially near the beginning of the series. Of course, it's been 7 years since that point, but I still like to think of the Everfree Forest as the sort of unknown, mysterious place where a lot of things that we don't expect could happen. So, as a Fluttershy episode, it doesn't reach the writing highlights of ones like Hurricane Fluttershy or even Philly Vanilli, but what it does do is it happens to have a strong message, and it manages to do it effectively with what the 2 new writers of the show have to offer. So I give this episode an 8 out of 10. See you next time.